The War of the Ninepenny Kings was the final Blackfyre rebellion and the last time a rival Targaryen line came close to reclaiming the Iron Throne. It ended when Barristan Selmy killed Maelys Blackfyre. For nearly a century, the Blackfyres had challenged House Targaryen. The conflict began when King Aegon IV legitimized his bastard son, Daemon Blackfyre, and gave him the Valyrian steel sword Blackfyre. That decision helped spark a series of rebellions that would continue for generations. Each one failed. Each pushed the surviving Blackfyres further into exile across the narrow sea. By the late 3rd century AC, only one remained: Maelys Blackfyre, the last male of the Blackfyre line. Maelys had already secured control of the Golden Company, one of the most disciplined and dangerous sellsword companies in the known world, numbering roughly 10,000 men. He did not take command quietly. In a struggle for leadership, he killed his own cousin, Daemon, smashing the man's horse with a single blow, then tearing his head from his shoulders. He was not just another pretender, he was the final Blackfyre. In 258 AC, Maelys joined 8 other exiles, pirates and sellsword captains beneath what became known as the Tree of Crowns. They were not a single army, but 9 power seekers, pirates, exiles, and mercenary leaders, each expecting a kingdom of their own. Together, they swore a pact. Each would help the others carve one out. They became known as the Band of Nine: Maelys Blackfyre, the Monstrous; Alequo Adaris, the Silver Tongue; Samaro San, called the Last Valyrian; the Old Mother, 9 Eyes; Lyamond Lasher, the Lord of Battles; Spotted Tom the Butcher; Sir Derek Fossoway, the Bad Apple; and Jobar Kokwa, the Ebon Prince. In Westeros, they were called the Ninepenny Kings, after Prince Duncan Targaryen remarked that crowns were being sold 9 a penny. At first, the threat was dismissed. It was assumed the free cities would deal with them or that the alliance would collapse. Instead, they moved quickly. They overran the disputed lands. They seized Tyrosh, installing Alequo Adaris as its ruler. Then they took the Stepstones. From there, they stood within striking distance of Westeros. At their center was Maelys, commanding the Golden Company, a professional army built from generations of exiles who had never abandoned the Blackfyre cause. By 259 AC, King Jaehaerys II had taken the Iron Throne. He chose not to wait. A royal host was assembled and sent to the Stepstones to meet the threat directly. Command fell to his hand, Lord Robert Baratheon. The force included a fleet of 100 longships under Quelon Greyjoy and a large contingent from the Westerlands, 1,000 knights and 10,000 men-at-arms sent by Lord Tywin Lannister under the command of his brother, Sir Jaehaerys Lannister. Forces from Dorne joined as well. In 260 AC, the Westerosi host landed in the Stepstones. Fighting spread quickly from island to island. Battles were fought across narrow straits and rocky shores, with repeated landings, counterattacks, and shifting control of key positions. Early in the campaign, Lord Robert Baratheon was killed, dying in the arms of his son Steffon, the future father of Robert Stannis and Renly Baratheon. Command passed to Gerald Hightower, known as the White Bull and Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. The war continued across the Stepstones. At Bloodstone, one of the central islands in the campaign, Sir Jaehaerys Lannister was killed. Lord Roger Rayne took command of the Westermen and helped drive the fighting forward. The Westerosi advance was steady but costly, forcing the Band of Nine back across the islands over the course of the year. Many young nobles fought in this war. Among them was a young knight named Barristan Selmy, already gaining a reputation for exceptional skill. Tywin Lannister was there as a newly made knight, fighting alongside his brother. Prince Aerys Targaryen fought as well, still a capable young prince and close companions with Tywin long before he would become the future Mad King. Brynden Tully, later known as the Blackfish, distinguished himself in battle. Steffon Baratheon continued to fight after his father's death. Within a generation, many of these same men would stand on opposite sides of Robert's rebellion. In the end, the war did not turn on a single great battle. It turned on a single moment. The young knight Barristan Selmy cut a path through the Golden Company to reach Maelys Blackfyre. They met in single combat, and Barristan killed him, ending the Blackfyre line and making his name in a single moment. With Maelys dead, the rebellion collapsed. The Band of Nine dissolved soon after. Though it would take 6 more years to fully dismantle their power in Essos, the threat to Westeros had been removed. The consequences of the war extended well beyond the Stepstones. Steffon Baratheon became Lord of Storm's End, maintaining close ties with both Aerys Targaryen and Tywin Lannister. Himself a newly made knight, Tywin received the honor of knighting Prince Aerys after the campaign. But Tywin returned from the war hardened and frustrated with his ineffectual father Tytos, who had remained home with his mistress and not taken part. Tensions soon erupted with the Rain Tarbeck revolt in 261 AC. Elsewhere, alliances formed during the campaign would shape the next generation. Jon Arryn grew close to Rickard Stark and Steffon Baratheon, relationships that would later bring Eddard Stark and Robert Baratheon to the Vale as his wards. Barristan Selmy, for his actions in the war, was named to the Kingsguard and would go on to become one of the most respected knights in the Seven Kingdoms. The War of the Ninepenny Kings ended a century of rebellion. It was fought far from the great castles and courts of Westeros, but it removed the last serious rival to Targaryen rule and brought together the men who would shape everything that followed.